This remote power button has stopped working unless I push hard at different angles, and sometimes it works. The first step should be to verify if the button is actually not responsive. So point the remote at a camera, and when you press various buttons, you should see the light blinking in the camera. If you don't see the light blink, the button is not responsive, so then it's time to take the remote apart. This one has 2 screws, then it's snapped together by clips. To access the clips, a thin flexible tool called a spudger can be used. I'll link to those on Amazon below. This remote started coming apart once the spudger was gently eased inside along the seam and moved around until the clips started to release. When the remote has been disassembled, the insides can be cleaned as I did in another video, and sometimes that's enough to let the button work again. If cleaning doesn't work, there's a couple of things that can be tried. Sometimes the contacts on both the circuit board or on the rubber pad on the button itself may be slightly worn out, so you can try just coloring in the pad and the circuit board area with a pencil, since pencil lead is conductive, and that may restore functionality of the button. If that doesn't work, you can try replacing the carbon pad on the button rubber. I ordered a kit of replacement pads, which I'll link to below. Sometimes it helps to get a sharp knife and slice off a small amount of the worn out button pad, so when the new one is attached, the overall height stays the same. But these pads I have are so thin, I just glued it directly on top of the old one. If you do need to cut away some of the old material, you have to cut as straight as possible, or else when you press the button, it will make contact on the board at an angle and you may have trouble making a connection. After cleaning the old button pads on the remote to prepare them for gluing, I chose a pad out of the kit that looked to be about the same size as the old one. I used a small drop of super glue that I smeared around the old pad before placing the new one on and gently pressing it down with a non-sharp object to make sure it's in good contact. Then I let it sit about 15 minutes to be sure it was ready for testing. After reassembling the remote, I tried pressing the power button again, and finally the receiver powered up and then powered back down, using only a single button press each time. So that's what it took to restore functionality on this remote.